Hello, children. This is me, Teacher Helen, and we will have our new lesson in health titled Water Hazards and Disaster. Are you ready to learn in this topic? Well, you must, in order to have preparation when there is a hazards or disasters happen. Let's start. Isn't it nice to play in the rain with pools of water or in the beach? Gentle rain, small pools of water, and small waves are safe. But when there is too much rain, too much water, too much wind, or waves that are too big, it can be dangerous. Hazards. Let us define hazards. Are sudden events that are risky and potentially dangerous. They pose a threat to life, health, property, or environment. Hazards may be natural or man-made. They can be predictable or unpredictable. Most hazards cannot be prevented, but their effects can be reduced. If you avoid a hazard or prepare for it, there is less chance that it will turn into a disaster. So again, hazards can be natural hazards, man-made hazards, predictable hazards, and unpredictable hazards. What is natural hazards? Natural hazards are sudden, potentially dangerous events caused by nature. Heavy rains, typhoons, storm surge, floods, tsunami, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and landslides are all natural hazards. Since you cannot control these natural hazards, it is important that you prepare for them. Next, we have man-made hazards. Are dangerous events that are caused by man. Fires from firecrackers or faulty electrical wiring, vehicular accidents, gang wars, oil spills, and pollution. In many cases, man-made hazards can be prevented or controlled. Now let's go to predictable hazards. Are events that may be known in advance. When hazards are predictable, it is best to avoid them. If you cannot avoid them, you can prepare to lessen the effect. Example of predictable hazard is typhoon. Unpredictable hazards. Unpredictable hazards are events which cannot be known in advance. They are quite dangerous because you do not know when they will happen. Example of unpredictable hazard is an earthquake. Now, if these four hazards result in the injury of people, loss of lives, and damaged property, it results to disasters. Again, how can hazard become disaster? When these four hazards result injury to people, loss of lives, and damaged property, it may term as disasters. All disasters start off as hazards, but not all hazards become disasters. Disaster usually involve one or a combination of the following elements. We have water, fire, air, and earth. Water disasters include typhoons, storm surge, floods, and tsunamis. So this morning, we will only discuss the water disasters, which include typhoons, storm surge, floods, and tsunamis. So let's begin with typhoon. In Philippines, it is normal to experience strong winds and heavy rains. This is called typhoon or storm. In western countries like US, typhoons are also known as hurricanes. Typhoon season typically hits June to December. Heavy rains can quickly form into floods. Floods can cause death through drowning. Continuous heavy rain also makes the earth soft. This may result in mudslides or landslides that can block roads and destroy houses. So during a typhoon, it is important to do the following. So we have first, listen to and monitor weather information. So where we are going to listen weather information. So it can be in radio, TV, or using your mobile Android phones. Watching news. Okay, we have 4 categories in color-coded warnings from Pag-asa. Okay, we have yellow warning stands for signal number 1. Orange warning stands for signal number 2. And red warning stands for signal number 3. And maroon warning stands for signal number 4, which composed of severe flooding and serious damage is likely to be expected. So you must know the color coded given by the Pag-asa. Number 2. Evacuate immediately if advised by Pag-asa or the LGU or local government unit. Inform your parents and evacuate. Let your parents inform your neighbors and evacuate with them as a group. Go to a higher ground or to an evacuation center with higher floors. Third, if you are not with your parents, call and inform them. Your parents can give you instruction or arrange for your transport. Your parents can meet you, pick you up, or tell you to go where it is safe. And lastly, stay indoors or in a safe place for security. If there is no flood and Pag-asa does not issue any warnings, do not go out. Gusts of winds may cause flying objects or particles that may cause you harm. Okay. Second water disaster is storm surge. It happens when water is pushed to the shore by a typhoon. This wind has tremendous power and speed. A 1-foot deep storm surge can sweep a car off the road. Even a 6-inch surge is difficult to stand in. A large amount of floating debris usually accompanies the surge. Trees and other debris float on top of the storm surge and batter anything that stands in the way. A storm surge is a water hazard that can quickly turn into a disaster. Storm surge safety precautions. If you live near the coast or near the shore, know exactly the elevation of your home. Elevation is a measure of land height from sea level. The higher your elevation, the better chances for survival. 2. If you live near the ocean or you are near the shore, the best way to survive a storm surge is to follow evacuation orders and leave before the surge arrives. Third, if you live near the shore or coastline, keep an axe fastened to the wall, especially in the attic. If water comes in unexpectedly, you can get into the attic and have an adult chop a hole through the roof to escape. Fourth, keep a length of rope that you can use to tie yourself to a high and sturdy part of the house. This is to prevent you from being dragged by strong currents of water. So always bring a rope, prepare a rope. And that's all for the storm surge. Now let's go to the third type of water disaster, which is flood. Flood is a natural disaster caused by too much rain, rivers overflowing or dams breaking or spilling excess water. There are types of floods: river floods, flash flood, man-made floods, and coastal flooding. River floods happen when rivers and streams cannot carry away all the extra water that falls as rain. River floods can rise and overflow to dry lands, wash away houses, and drown people and animals. Next, flash flood is a quick flood caused by a sudden thunderstorm. Man-made floods are floods caused by humans. Floods sometimes occur when man-made structures such as dams hold too much water. The excess water needs to be let out. Sometimes the dams can break and cause floods. Coastal flooding is the flooding of areas near the sea or beach. It can be serious and cause death. Okay, we have flood safety tips. The following are safety tips before, during, and after a flood. Let's start with before a flood. What are you going to do? Okay, you must have a flood disaster plan. Second, prepare a disaster supplies kit for your home. Include a first aid kit, canned food, can opener, bottled water, biscuits, battery operated radio, flashlights, and water, and so on. What about during a flood? Move to a safe area quickly. Do not play with flood water because you do not know what it contains. If the water is rising, inform your parents. If you are outside and have to walk through floods, make sure that you are with an adult. Wear protective boots. If the flood water is flowing fast, do not walk through it. Floods that are moving quickly can push you off balance and drag you with it. If you cannot see the floor of the road because of the flood, do not just walk through it. Use a long stick to check where you will walk. To ensure safety and prevent drowning, you can wear flotation devices like a life vest. Water is a medium for electricity, of course. Make sure that you avoid touching any electrical gadgets or outlets. What about after the flood? Always filter and boil drinking water. Why? Water pipes can get leaked with dirty water and may not be clean or safe to drink. And also, electrical equipment should be checked and dried before use. Things you can do to lessen or prevent floods. How to prevent floods? A. Help keep your surroundings clean. Help your parents sort out the garbage. biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Third, help reduce, reuse, and recycle garbage. And lastly, grow trees and plants because trees and plants absorb a lot of water from the rains and help prevent floods. Their roots also help keep the soil together. And lastly, the water disaster is tsunami. What is tsunami? Are huge ocean waves produced by earthquakes or underwater landslides. Tsunami waves can reach up to 20 feet high or more and are very destructive. As the waves approach the coast, its speed decreases and its height increases. So there are safety tips for tsunami: before a tsunami, during a tsunami, and after a tsunami. Let's start with before a tsunami. Stay before a tsunami. Tsunami waves happen near coastlines and beaches. If you are near coastline, make a disaster plan with an evacuation route. Prepare a disaster supplies kit. There are some signs that a tsunami is about to happen. If you notice the following signs, immediately evacuate from the beach. So these are the following signs. An earthquake shakes the coastline or beaches. A sudden low tide of water on the beach or water receding from the shorelines. And a buzzing or roaring sound that signals the coming of big waves. Second, during a tsunami, you should follow instruction issued by the local authorities. If a tsunami warning is issued, the important thing is to get to higher ground and as far inland as you can. Third, we have after a tsunami. Stay out of a building if water remains around it. Tsunami water can cause buildings to sink, floors to crack, or walls to collapse. Second, we have when re-entering homes, be extremely cautious. Check for gas leaks, open the windows and doors to help dry things out. Get ready to help your family in cleaning up. So that's all for today. It is all about disaster, water hazards, and disaster. Again, how can be a hazard become disaster when it results injury to people, loss of lives, and damage to property. That is the definition of disaster. Before we will end, I will share to you a saying. There is an old saying that it is better to safe than sorry. To be on the safe side means to prepare and be alert for water disasters like typhoon, storm surges, floods, and tsunamis. No one knows exactly when water hazards will happen. So, it is best to create a water disaster plan and prepare a disaster kit or a go bag that contains necessary things. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Adios.